Heath Hinton, Granville football, joining us again for another football season with Storied Rivals. Always appreciate your time, Coach. I'm glad you're having a good summer so far. I mean, does it feel like it just flies by for you? Because with us at Storied Rivals, it feels like we're go all the time. We get a little bit of a break during the summer, and then we're just right back into football. How does the summer move for you?
Yeah, like for us, man, I enjoy the summer. I really do. So it becomes more of, in the spring and in the winter, it becomes, you got football lifting, and it goes in the school days, and then after school stuff going on. But now I get to enjoy my summers. I get to go do what I'm passionate about. See kids for 2, 3, 4 hours. I get to help out with the junior high lifting too. So my mornings are full. We give ourselves a couple days off here and there, and I really enjoy the process of getting kids ready in the summer. I really do, and I think our kids are doing a great job being accountable. We've had yesterday we had 74 kids here. I mean, we've had 73 or so, 74. Lowest numbers during our heavy vacation times have been down in the 60s, but we've done a good job with our numbers, with our accountability this summer. So, and our coaches do a great job too, showing up, even though they who have day job, they still able to show up for a little bit and be around our kids. And that's really what matters. That way you can instill that trust, that character, in our players.
Yeah. I know you've only been with Granville for, a couple of years, a couple as a head coach and then under Wes for a year. But what's the numbers typically like on the roster? Like how big is your roster size freshman through the senior class at Granville?
So, my first year with Wes, we had a really small senior class. So really good. I really appreciated those kids. Only about eight or nine of those kids, but man, they all played. They all were very, very well. Good leaders. Led our program. They had a great season, even though there wasn't very many of them. The next year, we knew our number was going to go up. We had a humongous 8th grade class that's been a little bit successful here and there. So we know our number is going to go up. We had about 70 last year, right around 70. And this year, we're tipping that right around that 90 to 85, 90 range. So, but our incoming freshman class is now they're a really big class, so about 30 and 30 at the lower levels, at the sophomore and freshman level. So, we'll be able to play what it allows us to do. And last year was our first year, I think, for a long time, they were able to play 8 or 9 game freshman schedule with an 8 or 9 game JV schedule. So our kids are getting a ton of reps, and they needed it. We need it. We have to replace a ton of kids right now. So that's going to be exciting. We can talk about it in a little bit, but so our numbers are great, but it also allows us to play a lot more games, and that allows us to get more kids on the field. So our junior high staff had a meeting with them and our PB program just the other day, and they're doing a great job of keeping kids out. But also our numbers at those levels are increasing each and every year. So we're able to play 2 third and fourth grade teams, and then we're able to do two fifth and sixth grade teams. So it gives you now you got 4 quarterbacks down there. So you got a ton of quarterbacks down. You got 2 kids running the ball all the time. You're developing 10 offensive linemen, each game or each weekend. That kind of stuff really helps us out, I think, as a program for the future.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Now, you talked about losing some experience and having to replace some guys, and I know you had a handful of guys represent Granville in the Muskingum-Licking All-Star Game. You had Beckett Long, Theo Talbott, Jack Yeager, Joe Day were on the roster, and although that game ended up, they didn't end their careers like maybe in the way that they wanted to. Does it? I guess in Beckett's case, is it almost kind of a little bit of redemption for him? Because I know the season didn't end the way he really imagined it would. Last year you guys had an unbelievable regular season, and then he ends up not getting a chance to play in his final game, and you guys ended up losing to Dover. I mean, did that feel like redemption for him?
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit afterwards. I knew they might struggle at some point in the game, because I know the Muskingum team was really, really good, and especially up front. So, as long as he could stay upright and he threw some good passes to some some fellow teammates, I think it's very, very positive for him. Joe Day got an interception and a touchdown off of it.
Right.
I think I don't know. I haven't got to see him. He's my neighbor down the road, but I haven't got to see him lately. I don't know. That might have been his first one. Maybe his career. I don't know. But it was great to watch him do that, and they made a little comeback right there just for a little bit. So it was fun. It was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I watching that game every year. It's cool to see. There's obviously a lot of rivalries around the area, but you can tell too that the kids have a lot of respect for each other and love for each other at the same time. And getting to spend that week or 2 weeks together, I think really shows like why the MVL and why the LCL are such tight knit leagues.
Yeah, it is. It's nice. It's a great. I've been around different counties and different areas, and it's hard to get an all-star game going. I know there was one created when I was playing way back in the day, and that one I think has folded, and this one's going strong. I think it needs to keep going this way. There's a lot of interest in it. A lot of kids want to play in it, which is nice.
Yeah. Now, I know you've talked about your off season a little bit here,
Yep.
but I mean, specifically, like how is it going, and kind of what do you have coming up? I guess over the next month or so, because week one, whether we want it to be here or not, it's fast approaching, and you've got to get some kids ready. And what's the off season been like as far as developing your younger talent that you have incoming, like your freshmen and sophomores, and what's on the schedule as far as scrimmages and things?
So we kind of we try to map it out our summer schedule. So it's in June. We start the first week off in June. We do about 4 days of camp that week. With a lot of camp days to start off with, but we try to use it as an install period, as a kind of a spring football time for us, kind of like the colleges do, kind of get the kids ready to go. We have some sporadic 7-on-7s here and there in the summer, and we're going to finish up with another 7-on-7 tonight down in New Lex, and then we'll have another camp day again tomorrow. But after that, we go into we get our acclimation periods going on. We allow put on some shoulder pads. Last 2 weeks of July, things start ramping up a little bit. So that's a good thing. Now you can start seeing kids in pads. Our strength coach, Coach Left, does a great job getting ready, get them faster, get them stronger, get them more explosive. He does a great job with everything, in his standpoint, and it's fun. It's fun, or we're not wearing out our kids, and he does. We're more of the feed to cash program or sprint based football program. We're not wearing kids out. Having it be the best part of their day. So that's fun. So here in the next 2 weeks, we got a lot of football coming up, parent meetings, all that fun stuff. Scrimmages coming up with Sheridan. We scrimmaged Sheridan here this year, so that's going to be a big test for us, and it's going to be interesting to see where they were at last year, to how good they are, and see what we can do with all of our new coming kids in. So really, our competition right now, we have a couple guys that return, but we don't have more than like 2 or 3 on offense that return starters, and 2 or 3 on defense that kind of return or played a lot. So it's going to be an interesting thing this year to see kind of how it kind of maps out. I don't know if we'll have it solved by week one. It might be week 2, week 3. So we got to keep those. We talk about not goals for the season, but have each week have a kind of a milestone. And our milestone is going to need to be to get better every day, and they have personal milestones and unit milestones, or the position group milestones to face, but to reach. But then we'll have week to week, and really week one, you just got to go out and at least try to win week one. So that's kind of our first milestone we kind of really need to work on.
Yeah. Now, when you lose some experience and you're younger in some areas and you've got a lot of, new starters and things, does it almost feel like you get to go back to teaching football a little bit? Because when you have an experienced team like you did last year, a lot of that kind of takes care of itself. They know the system, they know what to do, and it's just fine tuning things. But when you have a younger roster, do you feel like you kind of get to teach again in some ways?
Yeah, so for me, it's just having a full off season is tremendous. So just by knowing the kids, getting to meet with them, have starting a leadership council this year, having coaches that are already kind of established, and adding a couple coaches to it, that makes a lot more pressure off. It takes a lot of pressure off me, and allows me to start working on kind of the things that matter, our character based kind of education stuff, what we want to do for our leadership. Try to just kind of work on that stuff and try to do it in a team setting. So we try to do that kind of stuff in the mornings before practice or before lifting. Just talk about a couple slides here and there. Try to get kids being really intentional about what they do, trying to stay above the line, trying to use all the Urban Meyer stuff he's using his past. I went through a lot of years just talking about it, teaching it. So that's kind of what we kind of developed. Me and my buddy kind of developed a PowerPoint or Google Slides now that helps us kind of lay out the foundation about what we need to, how we need to act, and what we need to do to get to where we want to be.
Now, you mentioned before we started talking here that you guys are starting to use drone
Yeah.
footage, at your practices. and things like that, and that's not something that I've really heard, at least anywhere in this area. A lot of schools do is using that. Does that just provide just kind of like a different vantage point and just a, I guess, a bird's eye view of everything that you do every day on the football field? I mean, what kind of advantages do you see bringing it? Like, what is it going to bring to your football program?
Yeah, so in coaching and anything else, you kind of steal stuff and steal ideas, and we're not the first one to use it. We're trying to figure out how to use it, I guess, effectively. We're going to use it a lot in practice, to kind of get our above our linemen and kind of show them what they're doing right, wrong, and the path they're taking and stuff. And then we've used it a lot during our 7-on-7s. Right now, it's easy for our kids or our coaches to use and for parents to use to help us out. And they're really nice, and they're somewhat affordable, and we can use that technology that to kind of watch practice with about ourselves. So every time you're preparing for a game week, you got to figure out, is it more important, we got to see what they're doing, but then when you start taping practices, it's really important to know how we react, how we can get better, and focus on what we're doing, right or wrong.
Now, you've talked about developing some of these position groups and meeting some certain milestones and things. Who are some of the players that are stepping into some of these key roles? Because I mentioned some of the guys that played in the All-Star game, like Beckett. You lose your starting quarterback, you lose a couple receivers, and obviously you got to replace some depth up front and in the trenches and things like that. I mean, but who steps in at quarterback? Because we all know, everybody wants to know who's playing the quarterback position. That, it's the most important position on the field, but then also up front and skill positions to support maybe this younger cast that you have with new starters.
Yeah, you know what? It all comes down to some leadership stuff. So, our guys that started and played a lot last year, Kyle Kirby is our guy who was also a team captain last year as a junior. So he's coming back. He'll be a big help from there in the leadership standpoint to help out our quarterback, help out our offensive linemen, just push those and push those guys and mold them and be positive with them. So Kyle might change positions a little bit and kind of be more of our fullback type body this year. So it's an easier way for us to get him the ball. And plus, I don't know how both our quarterbacks we have competing for the job right now. They're not Beckett Long size ability to run right now. So putting a really strong running back there with our quarterbacks is probably a big help for us. And right now, our starting centers battling some injuries. He's trying to come back from Cooper Gregory. He's done a great job the last 2 years. Now he's trying to battle back from a couple injuries. But he's doing a good job, and he'll be that kind of. I like having a center that returns to kind of be that commander up front that kind of put everybody on the right page and blocking scheme wise and pass protection wise, and then out front we got Jakob Culver. Jacob's doing a great job in our 7-on-7s. He's got bigger, he's got stronger. Hope he made himself. He had that season-ending injury last year about week 6. Kind of threw us off a little bit, but he's really good. He's a really good player for us. Trying to get him on the defensive side a little bit too. Just trying to put our best athletes on the field. But those are guys that kind of returning. Those are guys that and everybody else is just it's up for grabs, and it's going to be that way. It's going to be that way for a while. We got 2 or 3 other wide receivers that can play. We got some young guys that can step in and play some other wide receiver. We've got another back. Our backup running back's a senior. He'll do a good job for us. So our guys, when they're called upon, I think they're going to do a really good job. But they got to compete right now. They got to compete every day, and they got to compete to go win, not only in the first game but also in practice.
Now, I feel like the last couple years, Granville's unfortunately been bit by the injury bug, kind of like late regular season. You get ready for the playoffs and everything, and some guys are fortunate to come back, but other times it's not. And there's no, I mean, sometimes it's just bad luck. But how do you guys manage that? Because you mentioned that you got a guy up front that's battling some injuries right now. How do you guys manage that during such a long off season?
Yeah.
Obviously, you want to get better and you want to get as much work in as you can and to get ready for the first couple weeks of the season. But you also want to make sure that you prolong everybody's health to last, not only 10 weeks, but weeks 11, 12, 13, 14 for a playoff run.
Yeah, with Jakob Culver, I don't think you don't prevent, scapulas breaking. You don't see those breaking a lot.
Sure.
So
Right.
that kind of stuff, the broken bone stuff, I don't think he's got to have the next guy ready for that position and ready to go. And hopefully you coached him up enough, later on down the season, because hopefully he's got enough game reps either on special teams or playing JV wise. What you don't understand, what kids kind of have a hard time understanding too. The last couple of years, we've had juniors that went down and play on the JV level for the first couple of weeks who've made tremendous impacts later on. Cash Thomas a couple of years ago. We had guys step up last year. So those guys, in my mind, are the guys that really make your team sometime when our numbers called on late in the season or later on, and they struggle to play some JV and moved up and kind of kept a positive attitude. Those guys are really important. And then, of course, what we do with Coach Left. So we got with all the sprint-based football stuff. We sprint on Mondays. Rest and recovery is really important for us, and trying to track. And we have Titan sensors that we track about 20 of our athletes in to figure out how much mileage you're getting, how much in the game, and how much that can computes to how much mileage you need during the actual work week. And our kids got faster last year with Coach Left's program. They gained some weight they got stronger last year, which was a big milestone to do from week 1 to week 10 and not just wearing down your body all the time. So Coach Left does a tremendous job with that.
I love hearing you talk about the sprint stuff and the sprint work, like feed the cats and everything. Cause I coach track at Meadowbrook in Bisonville. And that's the same program that we use. So to hear you talk about that is just fascinating. And I love that. I think every football team should really integrate sprint training, not just the football stuff, but and the lifting, but sprint training into their off-season programs.
Well, you become really, and we talk about intentionality and how you become more intentional about stuff. When you start putting laser timers out there, kids start winning that laser time. I don't care if it's girls soccer. My buddy does that down another school, girls soccer. I don't care. Once you sell laser timers and you say we're going to have laser timers out there, everybody's trying to beat their last time. And I don't care if it's 2 weeks ago last time or whatever the PR, or just that day after the first one. They're always trying to beat it. So that's competing. Now, we got some type of sensors that measure bar speed right now in the weight room. We're trying to use that right now to kind of trying to make sure our kids are monitoring how much weight they're doing, how much weight they can do with speed. And, so it tracks and it's an easy, the OVR units we have, this little box, and they have a little rope and string attached to it and wraps around the bar. We can tell how much weight you're moving for 0.8. You want to do 0.8 seconds. We'll go 1 point something, whatever it is. You can find the optimal weight and optimal how much they want to move it, how fast they want to move it with Coach Left's system. We don't always do the same. It's kind of a change up, but it's nice to kind of have a little bit of technology. Our athletic booster was grace enough to have Coach Left, to give that to Coach Left and purchase that stuff for him. So it's really nice to have that support from our AD and from our athletic boosters for that stuff.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Well, I'll let you get going to your meeting, Coach. Thanks for taking 15, 20 minutes to talk some football, man. It's great talking to you, and I'm glad you're having a good summer. And best of luck with the rest of the offseason. Looking forward to talking to you as the regular season approaches. And just have a great year, man.
Hey, thank you so much.